I sat in my home office staring at the business award on my desk, Innovator of the Year, when my phone buzzed. A text from Trevor, my former best friend, asking to reconnect after all this time. 3 years earlier, we had been inseparable, working late nights on our revolutionary business idea. That was before everything fell apart. Before he took everything we had built together. Before I had to rebuild my life from scratch. Hey guys, before I dive into this wild journey, where are you watching from today? Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear how I reclaimed my future from the friend who betrayed me. I never planned on becoming an entrepreneur. For years, I worked as a software developer at a mid-sized tech company in Boston, writing code for projects that never truly excited me. The pay was decent. The benefits were good. But something was always missing. I felt like a cog in a machine creating products for someone else's vision. That all changed the day I attended the Northeast Technology Conference in the fall of 2018. While waiting in line for coffee during a break between sessions, I struck up a conversation with a tall, charismatic guy named Trevor. He had an energy about him that was infectious, ambitious, but not arrogant, passionate about technology, but with a refreshing perspective from the business side. The problem with most developers, he said, gesturing with his coffee, is they create amazing technology with no idea how to bring it to market. And most marketing guys like me have great ideas but need developers who understand the vision. We ended up skipping the afternoon session, sitting in the hotel lobby for hours, discussing the problems facing small businesses trying to compete with tech giants. By evening, we had exchanged numbers and agreed to meet the following weekend to continue the conversation. What made our partnership so promising was how perfectly our skills complemented each other. I was the technical genius able to architect complex systems and write elegant code that could make our ideas come to life. Trevor was the marketing mastermind who understood what businesses needed and how to position our solution in the marketplace. Together, we felt unstoppable. Over the next 6 months, we spent countless late nights at my apartment ordering takeout and mapping out our business on whiteboards. Our idea was revolutionary. A software platform that would allow small businesses to leverage artificial intelligence and data analytics at a fraction of what the big companies were paying. We called it Small Giant. Trevor became more than just a business partner. He was the brother I never had. He joined my family for Thanksgiving, charming my parents with stories and helping my mom in the kitchen. My dad, usually reserved with my friends, took Trevor fishing and came back calling him son. Trevor even spent Christmas with us when his flight home was canceled due to a snowstorm. When it came time to make our idea real, I did not hesitate to put my entire savings, $30,000, into development. I quit my job to work full-time on our prototype, while Trevor promised to secure additional funding through his extensive connections in the venture capital world. Trust me, Edison, he would say, by this time next year, we will be running a multi-million-dollar company. We are going to change the game. What set us apart from other startups was our commitment to ethical business practices. We agreed from day one that we would not collect or sell user data without explicit permission, even if it meant leaving money on the table. We wanted to build something we could be proud of, not just profitable. After 3 months of intense coding, I completed our first working prototype. It was not perfect, but it demonstrated the core functionality, showing how small retail businesses could analyze customer behavior patterns, just like the retail giants. I still remember the night we celebrated that first milestone. I cooked pasta in my tiny kitchen, and Trevor brought an expensive bottle of champagne. We sat on my balcony, overlooking the city, imagining our names among the tech visionaries who had changed the world. To Small Giant, Trevor toasted, and to the best partnership in tech history. Little did I know that those words would soon taste more bitter than the champagne was sweet. The first subtle shift came about 8 months into our partnership. Trevor began scheduling investor meetings without telling me until the last minute. At first, I did not think much of it. He handled the business side after all. These guys speak a different language. Edison, he explained when I asked why I was not included. They get confused with too much technical talk. I will bring you in once they are hooked. Around the same time, I noticed changes in Trevor himself. His wardrobe gradually transformed from casual startup hoodies to tailored suits and designer watches. He traded his 5-year-old Honda for a brand new BMW. When I asked about it, he laughed it off. Just dressing for the job I want, not the one I have. Besides, I got a killer deal from a college buddy in the car business. Then came Jessica. Trevor met her at a networking event, and within weeks she was accompanying him to business functions. Beautiful and sharp-witted Jessica worked for Tech Venture Partners, one of the largest venture capital firms in the city. I was happy for Trevor finding someone special, but something about the timing felt off. The real warning bells started ringing when Trevor excluded me from a critical meeting with potential investors. It was not a last-minute change. He had planned it that way all along. I only discovered the meeting was happening when a mutual acquaintance mentioned seeing Trevor's presentation. When confronted, Trevor seemed genuinely apologetic. I was going to tell you, but I knew you would want to be there, and the investors specifically requested a non-technical overview. They were worried about protecting their proprietary information with a developer in the room. The explanation made little sense. I was the co-founder, not some random developer, but I wanted to believe him. A week later, I discovered Trevor had made significant changes to our business plan without consulting me. Our commitment to data privacy had been watered down, replaced with vague language about maximizing data assets. When I pulled up the document on our shared drive, I saw it had been modified multiple times while I was focused on coding. I confronted him at our usual coffee shop, trying to keep my voice calm despite my growing anxiety. We agreed on our core principles, Trevor. Data privacy was non-negotiable. Trevor sighed, stirring his latte with visible impatience. Edison, you are an incredible developer, but this is why I handle the business side. Investors expect certain revenue models. We can worry about the perfect privacy policy after we get funding. This is not about a privacy policy, I argued. It is about the fundamental promise we made to our users. You are being paranoid, he said, checking his watch. No one reads those policies anyway. That evening, our mutual friend Marcus called me. Marcus worked at a law firm that specialized in tech startups, though he was not our lawyer. Edison, I probably should not be telling you this, but Trevor has been meeting with people from Apex Technologies multiple times. Apex was our biggest potential competitor. If they got wind of our technology before we secured patents, I spent $3,000. I could not afford to hire a lawyer specializing in intellectual property. I felt guilty for not trusting my friend, but the stakes were too high. The lawyer advised documenting everything and accelerating our patent filings. When I started paying closer attention to our finances, I discovered unusually large withdrawals from our joint business account consulting fees to companies I had never heard of. When questioned, Trevor provided vague explanations about market research and business development services. The final warning sign came when Trevor suggested we formalize our ownership structure with a new operating agreement. The document he presented gave him 70% ownership based on his greater contribution to business development and personal capital, invested capital. I had never seen enter our accounts. I did not sign the document telling him we needed to discuss the terms further. He agreed, but the warm camaraderie that had defined our relationship was gone, replaced by a businesslike coolness that felt foreign and threatening. The morning everything fell apart, started like any other. I arrived at our small rented office space, coffee in hand, ready for another day of coding. My key did not work. After trying several times, I noticed a security guard watching me from inside. He opened the door but blocked my entry. "Sir, I need to see some identification." After checking my driver's license, he handed me an envelope. "I was instructed to give you this." The letter inside was from a law firm representing Trevor Harris and Small Giant Technologies, LLC, a company I had never heard of despite being the co-creator of Small Giant. The letter informed me that my consulting arrangement had been terminated and demanded I cease and desist from using any proprietary technology. Consulting arrangement? I was a co-founder, not a consultant. My hands shaking, I called Trevor. No answer. I texted. Nothing. I called again and again, until finally a text came through. "My lawyer will handle all communication from now on." I spent the next 48 hours in a daze calling lawyers and trying to understand what had happened. The truth emerged in painful pieces. Trevor had filed patents for our technology under his name alone. He had incorporated a new company without me. And most devastating of all, he had secured $2 million in funding using my prototype. 3 days later, I saw Trevor on Boston Business Today, a local news program focusing on startups. He sat confidently in the studio describing his revolutionary technology that would transform small business operations. The interviewer asked about the development process. "I have always believed in the power of artificial intelligence to level the playing field," Trevor said, as if the late-night conversations in my apartment had been his alone. As the sole creator of this technology, I wanted to ensure it was accessible to businesses of all sizes. Sole creator. The words hit me like a physical blow. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place when I discovered Jessica was not just an employee at Tech Venture Partners, she was their lead scout for early-stage investments. Trevor had been dating the very person who could fast-track his funding application. Our funding application twisted into his alone. My lawyer, an older gentleman named Samuel who took my case at a reduced rate, did not mince words about the difficulty ahead. They have money, resources, and momentum. You have the truth, but truth is expensive in court. This could take years. That night in my apartment, I completely broke down. The prototype I had lovingly built, a second laptop I had configured for demonstrations, sat on my desk. In a moment of blind rage, I grabbed it and smashed it against the wall, watching as pieces of plastic and circuit boards scattered across the floor. The destruction brought no relief, only a hollow feeling of loss. The following weeks brought new pain. Trevor launched a preemptive public relations campaign, painting me as a disgruntled ex-employee trying to claim credit for his work. Former colleagues who might have supported me kept their distance, afraid of being blacklisted in our tightly knit industry. My finances crumbled quickly. My savings were gone. Legal fees mounted with each consultation, and I struggled to find work. Potential employers would express interest until they Googled my name and found articles about the small giant ownership dispute. The isolation was perhaps the worst part. Depression settled over me like a heavy blanket, making it difficult to get out of bed. Friends tried to help, but they could not understand the depth of the betrayal. It was not just my idea or money that had been stolen. It was my future, my dreams, my trust. 6 months after the lockout, I attended an industry networking event, desperate to make connections that might lead to work. Trevor was there, surrounded by admirers, looking like he had just stepped off the cover of Tech Entrepreneur magazine. Our eyes met across the room. I approached him, heart pounding. "Trevor, we need to talk." He excused himself from his group and led me to a quiet corner. I expected to see at least a flicker of remorse or discomfort in his eyes. There was none. "Edison, this is not the place. My lawyer has been trying to reach a settlement with your representative." "Settlement? You stole my life's work." He adjusted his designer tie, looking at me with something between pity and annoyance. "Business is business. You contributed some initial coding, and you will be compensated fairly for that contribution. But Small Giant is my company, my vision. We built it together." I said, my voice breaking despite my best efforts. "That is your version. I have documents, patents, and investors who say otherwise." He glanced over my shoulder, clearly eager to return to his admirers. "I have to go. Have your lawyer call mine." As he walked away, I realized I had lost not just a business partner, but someone I had considered family. The betrayal was complete. I wish I could say I immediately bounced back and formulated a brilliant plan for justice, but the truth is darker. I nearly gave up entirely. For weeks I barely functioned, considering leaving tech and Boston behind. My parents begged me to come home to recover, but that felt too much like surrender. The turning point came unexpectedly. While researching cheaper legal options at a public library, I met Marcus Bishop, a patent attorney, who overheard my frustrated phone call with my previous lawyer. "Patent disputes are my specialty," he said, sliding his card across the table, "and I have a particular interest in cases where the little guy gets screwed." Marcus was not just experienced, he was strategic. After reviewing my documentation, he found something critical that my previous lawyer had missed. Embedded in the code Trevor had patented were my unique signature methods, specific ways of structuring functions that were recognizable as my work. It is like a fingerprint, Marcus explained. No two developers code exactly the same way. These signatures are consistent with your previous work, but absent from Trevor's coding history. For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope. Marcus agreed to take my case on contingency. He would only get paid if we won. The next step was painstakingly rebuilding evidence of my ownership. I dug through old emails, recovered deleted files from backups, and created a timeline documenting the evolution of Small Giant. During this process, I reconnected with Alicia Zhang, a former classmate who now worked at Tech Insider, a prestigious journal covering the startup world. Over coffee, I shared my story, not expecting anything beyond sympathy. "I cannot write about your specific case while litigation is pending," she said. "But I have been researching a broader piece on intellectual property theft in startups. The patterns you are describing are not uncommon." Her words shifted something in my perspective. This was not just about me versus Trevor. It was about a system that often rewarded the wrong thing's appearance over substance, marketing over creation, theft disguised as innovation. I made a critical decision. Rather than focusing solely on revenge, I would fight to reclaim my intellectual property while creating something better. With Marcus's guidance, I began documenting my journey on a simple blog, being careful to avoid statements that could compromise the legal case. The blog gained traction in developer communities, where stories of similar experiences emerged. I was not alone. Some readers offered technical assistance, helping me rebuild and improve upon the original Small Giant concept. A breakthrough came when Trevor's former assistant Danielle contacted me through the blog. She had been troubled by what she witnessed during her employment, and had preserved emails proving Trevor had taken my original designs to patent attorneys, claiming them as his own. "I signed an NDA, but it does not cover illegal activity," she explained. "What he did was wrong." With Danielle's evidence, Marcus secured our first legal victory, a temporary injunction preventing Trevor from selling or further developing certain aspects of the technology pending resolution of the case. The injunction made Trevor's investors nervous. Tech venture partners initiated their own investigation, concerned about potential liability, as pressure-mounted cracks appeared in Trevor's carefully constructed narrative. Meanwhile, I focused on developing an improved version of the original idea. Working nights and weekends while taking freelance coding jobs to survive, I created a more robust platform with enhanced security features and true data sovereignty for users, something that delivered on our original ethical promise. Through connections I made via my blog, I met investors who valued innovation and integrity over quick profits. They were smaller players than Tech Venture, but they understood the long-term value of doing business ethically. The true turning point came 18 months after the betrayal, when Tech Insider published Alicia's comprehensive investigation into intellectual property disputes in startups. While careful not to declare judgment on specific cases, the article detailed patterns of predatory behavior that closely mirrored my experience with Trevor. The industry response was immediate. Small Giant's stock price fell as potential customers questioned the company's foundations. Trevor's carefully crafted image began to unravel as other former associates came forward with similar stories of deception. 4 months later, after depositions revealed the extent of Trevor's misrepresentations to investors, we reached a settlement agreement. The court recognized me as the original creator of the core technology. Trevor's company would license specific patents back from me, acknowledging my contribution in all future materials. The financial settlement allowed me to pay off my legal debts and properly fund my new company, True Giant Technologies. But the real victory was not monetary. It was the restoration of my name and the recognition of my work. The journey changed me in ways I never anticipated. When offered opportunities to publicly discredit Trevor in the aftermath of our settlement, I declined. Revenge would have felt satisfying in the moment, but would have kept me tethered to the past. Instead, I channeled my energy into building something meaningful. True Giant launched with a clear ethical framework that put creators and users first. Our transparent business practices included open-source components and clear data policies that users could actually understand. We implemented an innovative profit-sharing model that ensured developers were recognized and rewarded for their contributions. The improved product exceeded even my original vision. By focusing on genuine solutions rather than quick profit, we created technology that truly helped small businesses compete with industry giants. 2 years after launch, we won the Innovator of the Year award, the very trophy I had been staring at when Trevor's text arrived. Perhaps the most meaningful aspect of my recovery was the opportunity to mentor young entrepreneurs about protecting their ideas while remaining open to collaboration. I created a series of workshops called Innovation with Integrity, sharing both technical knowledge and hard-learned lessons about business relationships. The pain of betrayal never completely disappears. There are still moments when memories ambush me. Trevor laughing in my kitchen, planning our future, becoming part of my family. But that pain eventually transformed into wisdom that strengthened rather than weakened me. I built new business partnerships with clear boundaries and documented expectations. Trust became something earned through actions rather than assumed through friendship. My new team knows my story and understands why certain protections are non-negotiable. Last year, I established the Creator Protection Foundation, a non-profit offering legal assistance to inventors and developers facing intellectual property disputes. The foundation has already helped dozens of creators protect what is rightfully theirs. 3 years after our legal battle ended, I unexpectedly encountered Trevor at an airport lounge. He looked different, less polished, more human. The company had struggled after our settlement, eventually being acquired by a larger corporation for much less than its former valuation. Trevor was no longer the CEO. He approached me cautiously, awkwardly extending his hand. "Edison, I do not expect forgiveness, but for what it is worth, I regret how things happened." I shook his hand briefly. "I hope you found what you were looking for, Trevor." "I did not," he admitted. Success built on someone else's foundation does not stand for long. We did not become friends again. Some bridges once burned cannot be rebuilt. But the encounter gave me closure I had not realized I still needed. The greatest lesson I learned through all of this is that betrayal presents a choice. It can either destroy you or become the foundation for something stronger than what was lost. True innovation comes from integrity, the alignment of actions with values, not just clever ideas or slick marketing. Now, as I look at Trevor's text asking to reconnect, I wonder what answer will serve my peace of mind best. Some relationships deserve second chances. Others are better honored by what they taught us then left in the past. Have you ever had to rebuild after a betrayal? What did you learn from the experience? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more stories of resilience and redemption. Remember, your greatest setback might be setting you up for your greatest comeback. Thank you for listening, and may your trust always be placed in those who truly deserve it.